a lot of teams struggling with that so far.
Well, game number 1 between Roll20 and Tempo Storm is done and dusted. We're moving on to game 2. Tempo Storm, losing game 1, chose Battleground, and they chose Dragonshire. Again.
Dragonshire's coming out. It's becoming more popular in NA, it feels like a bit. I feel like this is a smart choice if you are Tempo Storm to be able to concentrate on macro play into a team like Roll20, and specifically one that is a small map, you know, not giving them the large map to get split pushing and globals, because then suddenly you have Goku on Dahaka, and you never really have an easy time through that one. But I'm also a little bit scared because it feels like one of the biggest problems Tempo Storm has had recently, especially at the Western Clash, is identifying compositional strength advantages and playing to it. In the last game, I feel like they still showed a bit of those symptoms throughout how they wanted to play it, especially looking at levels 1 through 9. And this is a map where that is very, very important.
My again came in because Roll20 picked Dragon yesterday. And my thought was, well, they looked pretty good on Dragonshire. They looked pretty good every game versus Team Freedom. But maybe the thought is here, if we take them to Dragonshire, they're going to first pick Garrosh, but then at least we can pick the Uther away. We can take the Uther away. Maybe.
I would like to see that to be the
Maybe
case.
that could not be the thought process at all, but I would like to see that too.
Yeah, I think it would be. But if you do not go in that direction, again, you have to go into the, well, I concentrate on beating you through the map, not through the picks, not through the skirmishing that the Garrosh implemented through game 1 and managed to do so for Roll20 out of all of yesterday. And that's where I get scared, is because even if Tempo drafts in that direction, I am questioning if they have the ability to be able to play to that compositional strength. And that is why I'm scared for Tempo in this game, just seeing the Garrosh already available through the draft. It's like one of those, they showed this as a weakness consistently enough to be timid with the circumstances of this draft individually. But Tassadar Li Ming being picked up once again here for Tempo Storm. Not picking up the Uther though, which we now, I'm guessing, is going to be the go-to for Roll20 in this transition. It's just, what else do they want?
Well, they get Chromie. They did in the same rotation as yesterday when they played Dragonshire versus Team Freedom. It took a while to decide on Li Ming. Tassadar will help with the shortcomings of wave clear from Li Ming unless she can get in the right positioning for her orb. And Li Ming still gives the resets, the big burst damage up against whatever else Roll20 wants to get. And Force Armor, we saw that last game versus Chromie. There's one.
Is it going to be a commitment towards the top lane? I would like to see Roll20 wait on that. Just because I really feel like Goku, if he knows the matchup, he's going to do very, very well. But if you just blind pick him, like the Dahaka is one of the safest and the only one that I can see you getting that blind pick and it not be punishing. I mean, it's Dahaka. He's got 3 health bars. It's pretty effective. But it's just one of those things that if you don't do the Dahaka, I really like when they wait on Goku and reserve it for later into the draft. And he can kind of go for more of the counterplay. Tempo's banning out Prismat's Chromie. No surprise there, as that has been one of the heaviest synergies they have put with that Garrosh other than the Uther.
So a lot of focus in Prismat between getting Li Ming and then Tassadar and banning Chromie. The only hero out of there that we still have that he has quite a few games on is Kael'thas in Greymane. Maybe Kael'thas.
Some KT. I mean, I think I like it.
From Roll20?
Well, I honestly, for either side, more Roll20 than I do Tempo.
Yeah, Roll20 is who I was talking about.
No, I feel like I like it for the wave clear. It synergizes pretty well. I just wonder if it's consistent enough damage dealer to be able to make it through a Tassadar double support composition. I mean, I don't dislike it anytime you can get, because I'm thinking immediately, well, flip into Gravity Lapse is just one dead everything, right? And then you make up for your wave clear. It works all around. It's just Kael'thas is such a, I mean, the epitome of a tier 3, right? In perfect cases, really, really strong. And although you're kind of like, you would have rather not Fire Lord because he's not doing too high here. A Variant Illidan. So we still get an Illidan, which has been my biggest question mark for post-Western Eastern Clash performances, because before I was like, where's the Illidan in NA? Then we had it and we were playing it so much, and then we come back and nobody's really been busting it out, but we do end up seeing that heavy lane mismatch now towards the top lane, but it's one of the worst maps for the Illidan to pick it up on, not being so open. And then it's Zeratul.
What? The Zeratul was something they played yesterday.
Yes.
They loved the rotation with that. The Nazebo. He's back.
He
We've heard
is
the
back.
call.
Now we need a main warrior for tempo. I mean, the first thing that shouts out here has got to be the Rhaegar, right? It not only accents the lack of wave clear, you need yourself a burst heal to be able to make up for that Illidan. Make sure he can be a problem, along with Varium. Either one of them want that. The only other thought process I could see, a Stukov or a Lucio.
This damage is way different. Nazebo versus Chromie. But you still have the Zeratul for the burst on the back line.
They're taking a while. Not expecting the Nazebo Zeratul rotation, turns out.
Taunt Silence, maybe they want the Stukov for that reason. And they have Flailing Swipe for disengage.
Stukov.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I'm really scared for the Stukov. Like I am. Like I'll hype the Stukov all day, but there are a lot of circumstances in this game that I am like, I don't know how successful or impactful this is actually going to be. Let's take a minute to consider some of the weaknesses of Stukov right out the gates, which is he doesn't necessarily get to volunteer when he gets his heal out at all times. In an optimal situation, you have your passive or your Q popped onto all 5 targets, then the damage comes in, it hits multiple targets, and you always get the direct value out of that. When you have an Illidan, how does that play out? So suddenly you can throw it on him, and yes, he can be more mobile than all the rest, but you hit a trade-off to where he has to call for the heal for himself individually, which then suddenly means all the people around you, if you're hoping that anyone around you wants to get their own heals, you can't really rely on that. So you either choose, I heal the Illidan or I heal my team. And it's not always, but it is one of those freak cases that the Stukov and the way the team plays with it is very, very important. And then more importantly, he has a Malfurion health pool with no self-defenses, and he's sitting in a case where he's got a Zeratul on the other side of the table. Stukov may have a very hard time keeping himself alive, but if they do so with the Tassar, the Reel, and the shields, it could be really impressive. Not as sold on the Stukov as we've seen with the others.
Yeah, the Silence will advertise his positioning and advertise when Zeratul should go in and try to harass him, but Illidan does have Tassadar shields to help out, and Leeming's mobility and shield wall from Varian. Maybe at least Stukov only has to focus on healing him. Before we get to that point, let's get into the game. Game 2 with Roll20 with a 1-game lead. Go.
I'm saying with the lurking arm, you're sitting here and your concerns is Zeratul. Have you ever taken a minute to appreciate how easy it is to hit a zombie wall after that?
That is true.
It's a feels bad man kind of moment.
It's both zombies and dark prelates.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those it's the old school Nazebo, Ravenous Spirit. I know that's a rare word to talk about in modern day, but that used to be the heroic choice for Nazebo. And the old school, self-zombie wall stitches, anti-stitches strat, but it's just the other side of the table. It's pretty much like he stands still, there's a free kill.
Yeah, I don't think you'll still see a Ravenous Spirit here, as much as I would love it, because of the silence underneath him.
I mean, let's make an argument for it. Can we? I feel like you can. If you go into Void with Divine Storm and Ravenous, and that was your entire wombo combo, like AoE CC into the Ravenous, because it still hurts. I mean, it just, not as much as it used to. It used to just one-shot a whole team.
Anytime until proven otherwise, see Justing playing Garrosh, I will feel like the center of the comp is throws. And that is what it is for me. The throws, the zombie wall, follow up from that might be a hard one to hit. We'll have to see. But if you've got the Hammer of Justice and then follow up zombie wall there, maybe that's how we'll see it.
I hope to see that synergy get next level for Roll20 if they're going to be prioritizing that Garrosh as high as they are, to get to the point where their flips are synergized with just a hard CC immediately after, other than a point-and-click Uther stun. I mean, don't get me wrong, Buds, it is impressive, the positioning and everything of the like, but at the end of the day, getting a flip into a zombie wall, that is the true all-you of Heroes of the Storm.
And there it is. And there she goes.
First
blood.
I just look away for 1 second, and they go ahead and hit the combo.
I hate when that happens.
And now they are just going to be able to keep all this pressure for Roll20 toward this bottom lane, already draining one of the turrets. Zombie Wall is going to help out a bit more on that.
Yeah, that was an awesome positioning to not only drain, but slow down the wave so that their wave can get caught back up and not allow the pressure to ease off of Tempo Storm in that bottom lane. 2-1-2, though, making things more difficult for Goku in the top lane.
It's just whether or not that's going to be able to make up for the advantages Roll20 is achieving in the bottom lane. And currently the answer to that is a flat no, Gilly. They are doing a very good job.
That's always the question.
Yeah, that always is, really. It's a good point. It's just more apparent on the map of Dragonshire than some of the others.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. Like on Dragonshire, it's always the who has the better just normal setup, and can the team that innovates, that changes it up, can they do enough to make it worth losing out in the bottom lane?
You're very much correct. So far, Roll20 has just got a lot of control onto the map. Psalm up in the top. I wouldn't mind if Tempo decided, like, because, okay, so, oh man, Glaurung's actually going to get the gank onto Psalm. It looks like nothing's going to happen here. But I was going to say, keep Tempo with the 2-1-2 a little bit stronger up on the top. Dahaka versus the Illidan matchup is already advantageous for the Illidan. The Tassadar makes it just oppressive. And the fact that they weren't willing to siege up and punish is a bit scary here for the members of Tempo Storm. Fury getting drawn back in here, out too far. He's going to get a second kill, and Roll20 just having a heyday. The map is theirs. Tempo needs to find something.
I'm really happy to see the lurking arm build for Stukov, and I hope that means that we'll see lingering spines at 13. That way, he doesn't have to advertise his positioning for a zombie wall, or like we said, I said the Zeratul. That way, he can just drop it really fast. You already saw him kind of dropping it really fast anyway. Like maybe that is his game plan going forward. We'll see if he gets the range at 7.
Early Dragonite here for Roll20. As we talked about a bit yesterday, it is buffed. The early game Dragonites are a little bit stronger, and I talked about this interaction specifically yesterday, and I'm really glad to see Roll20 adjusting. So with the new Dragonite and having the top lane be so very relevant and impactful, if you do have a disadvantaged lane, prioritizing that higher with early game Dragonites because they're going to be more effective suddenly takes a lane that oftentimes in draft can cripple you. Hold on, man. Fury getting flipped away. Goku not in range this time to be able to get the follow-up, so he will survive. But essentially, you prioritizing that lane, it makes your rotations and everything of the like over the next couple of minutes far more forgiving now for Roll20 than that of Tempo, especially considering Tempo was unwilling to commit the 2-1-2 heavily into the top lane.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. And Roll20 already have a level lead. He's taking out that, man, that was awesome. Rotating around just to get the tower. There's no way he was going to get the fort. He was already pretty low in his health bar, so just getting the tower for that little spike extra experience to get them on the road to level 10. Roll20 has been playing excellently so far this weekend. It is up to Tempo Storm to stop their progress through the standings. Roll20 believes they could be at the top of the standings by the end, be able to get that top seed from North America at BlizzCon, and having victories over both Team Freedom and Tempo Storm to kick off their very first weekend in Part 2. That would be fantastic for them.
I mean, you legitimately could not ask for more out of the first number week of HGC if you're a Roll20 fan so far. Getting an entire level lead in game number 1 pre-10 and doing so again here in game 2. But the difference is the map and how they're doing it here the second time. The first one, understandable. BOE with a Toronto composition, getting a couple of picks. You know, I see you getting a full level lead, but the fact that this level and experience disparity is this severe in this game, I am just going, I don't know where Tempo recovers, because their 10, other than an Illidan dancing and making miracles happen, is just not really that outstanding.
Oh, the rotation comes in. Psalm stayed alive just long enough. Now catching Glaurung out of the blink with the charge. He barely gets away. Now Goku's under fire for the team, but very healthy, and with the brush talk gets away. The team doesn't get Psalm, but Tempo Storm don't get Glaurung right as Roll20 were getting their heroic abilities. So we'll just trade out on some damage there, but it does pull a lot of the members of Tempo Storm to the top lane to defend Psalm, and because of that, Roll20 takes out the first fort in the bottom.
And now with the Dragonite phase up in 18 seconds, expect Roll20 to posture for an immediate Dragonite. With the 10 advantage, all angles of the map is going to be a huge disadvantage for Tempo. Who do we see get put in it is the real focus here for me and the members of Roll20. It can show a lot about their thought process. I assume Nazebo maybe for the earlier stages, but you know, sometimes you want to concentrate on that Widowmaker, never let him kind of be that individual on the side. And also Garg, nothing to laugh at in the Siege department. But you want Zeratul with his Void. Dahaka probably is like the standout for me, but they have been less prone to do so in the past.
Yesterday it was Zeratul because of the fact that Dahaka generally,
taunt.
man, the taunt and then the zombie wall. What?
That was so crisp.
Are you kidding me?
They're just dominating Tempo. Look at that. Fury can't even control his hero. Buds is just moving in, getting body blocks left and right. They are not afraid of anything, especially anybody in red there. Tempo Storm.
Gary, come on. Help out your team. they were using Zeratul yesterday in the Dragon Knight just because Dahaka was the final person to hold on, or ETC yesterday was the final person to hold on with his global. And then in this case, could have seen the Nazebo, but maybe just wanting to make sure that they had that range siege, even though the Gargantuan chose not to help them out in this case.
Interesting decision for Glorong there, actually, in the top lane to move all the way up. Goku gets stunned out. The silence will be there after. Nice force wall coming out from Cattle, but the members of Roll20 are there. Flipping away is going to be Justing, though, so that hunt not nearly as satisfying or optimal as the members of Tempo Storm were hoping for. 13 is going to be closed in for Roll20 over the next few seconds, and that Dragon Knight is going to come offline here. But with the 13 talents here, it could be where Roll20 wants to move up. I would assume they play a little bit slower, only because the main backline damage is a Nazebo. He wants level 16 at least. 13's nice, 16's great. 20, you're just a monster.
It was understandable for Tempo Storm to try to start that fight with the Hunt. They had the 5v4, they knew Glorong, who was Zeratul, and the Void Prison was inside of the Dragon Knight, maybe forcing him to come back out of the Dragon Knight. That huge pull and the taunt too!
But the silence, look at Goku getting the drag onto Kothin, but there goes June with that flailing swipe, keeping the members alive. Void's gonna be dropped, only hitting 2. Psalm is on the wrong side of that force wall though, and Roll20 gets themselves the first pick. Fury, they're gonna use shield parry number 1. Do we have a second? Not even needed. It is gonna be a kill. Justing is on a freaking tear. The guy is just flipping things left and right. Tables, Kothin, doesn't matter, but more importantly, he's flipping wrecking.
My favorite into the fray yesterday was when Goku didn't have power slide, and he just put Goku, he's like, you don't have power slide? Okay, then you body block here. He's just like, you, go here. I am gonna pull them here. It is ridiculous. He's like throwing everybody everywhere.
He's almost making it like, you know, he's playing TLV right now. He's controlling 2 heroes at once. He's got that micro going on. He's like, you know, I needed a little bit better positioning out of you, Glorong. Here, take this one. Taunt and rebuttal coming out from Tempo Storm. The silence on the Buzz, but he gets the heal. He gets the armor, the stun coming out, and in the end of the day, he does end up going down, though. Can he keep Justing alive? Looks like he'll do so. Heal it in with the hunt.
Disintegrate shows you the damage that it gives. Taunt, finally they might be able to bring him down, but it's going to take everything that Tempo Storm has just to bring down that Garrosh. Finally getting a couple of kills and evening out things in this game, keeping their keep alive.
They do keep their keep alive. Man, that was redundant. But the Dahaka up on top has got positional advantage. 13 talents are still not even achieved for Tempo Storm. And those are the biggest things we got to be looking at, is that Roll20 is at no point are they really too concerned about anything. And really, that was territorially, considering the map, the best advantage that Tempo Storm could ask for. A fortless section and long play area for Illidan to be able to get a chase. Brush talk coming out from Goku.
There's only 2 to the 3 down in the bottom. It doesn't matter anyway. The drag with the zombie wall. Gargantuan jumps on top. Kothin Luck eliminated, and Gary will chase off the rest of Tempo Storm. The bottom secured for Roll20 means that Tempo Storm can't get a Dragon Knight in the interim. They just now are getting 13, and Roll20 well on their way to having the 16 talent tier. And as you mentioned, a very big damage spike for Nazebo.
Yeah, it's going to be colossal. Glorong securing that top shrine. That's going to be the Dragon Knight. Who do we see get put in it this time, though? If Glorong's up on top, again, with the same thought process, shouldn't be Zeratul making the transition down with the advantages that Roll20 has. They had the opportunity to choose, but it's going to be Dahaka. They throw that in, and that makes a lot more sense to me, especially at the later stages. Glorong, once he gets to 16 and that Void, they have enough to end the game here. They really do, but they need to make sure they get a couple of picks first.
Scary spot for Tempo Storm right now. There is a fight, a brewing. As Goku and the rest of Roll20 move forward. The bare minimum, this keep is going down. What can they get done after the fact?
It's going to be Psalm who needs to make this happen by getting the chase down and getting that long extended fight. This is the area where Tempo Storm needs to fight, but they're down 3 entire levels. It seems to be enough to scare off and fend off the members of Roll20 from the bottom section, and questioning if they have the opportunity to end the game, but they are going to pick up this mid-fort. 27 seconds on that Dragon Knight still left. I assume this is going to be keep wall on top of it. In the long run, now that Nazebo is 16, I wouldn't mind if Roll20 wanted to stick around and use Nazebo's poke to get this rest of this keep, but if they do so, they are threatening an opportunity for Tempo to try and force a fight, again, where they have a territorial advantage with that Illidan.
It is, but it's still a long way from having 16, and that might be enough to scare away Tempo Storm from being able to fully engage on top of Roll20, especially with the idea that if they lose that fight, they lose the game. Goku's finished out with the Dragon Knight. Zeratul was escorting bottom, now coming back up. Looks like their ploy is to get as many mercenary camps and continue on the stress of the lanes of Tempo Storm. Maybe being able to use those mercenary camps with Giants in the bottom lane to bring some of the members of Tempo Storm down and then let them poke on top of that keep.
Good drag come now onto Fury. The flip is going to be there on top of it. Void Prison isolating the members of Tempo Storm. Fury getting the last shield parry. No, he's got a third. The drag again, flailing, swiping in the end. Fury keeps himself alive. Divine Shield used on top of Galarung. The drag onto Cattle. And nobody is achieved. Beautiful force wall going. The flip over top.
Stukov flipped over into Roll20. Goku now getting the damage on top of Psalm 2, and the pull isn't even necessary to take out Illidan. Roll20 finds an opening even though they expended resource upon resource on Fury trying to bring him down. They still had a flip, they still had a pull, and Justin was put into the perfect position to bring June into the team. Giants and catapults on core as another keep falls, and things get even harder for Tempo Storm to make the comeback.
This is a situation, though, where Tempo might have a fight. By no means am I going to claim that it's an advantageous one. It is going to be very still against them, the odds of coming out on top, but it will be on the same talent tier at least. Roll20 doesn't have to give it to him, and it should be over the middle shrine. Yeah, it's going to be over the middle shrine here, because Tempo's going to side soak, wait for the 16, and when they do so, they have to all 5-man commit to one section of the map. You can go mid, you can go top, or you can go bottom. If you go to any lane where there isn't a shrine, you have the highest probability of getting the fight immediately, because your opponent gets over-anticipating of like, I have both shrines, I can get this Dragonite. But if you do it into one of the other lanes, it's best for you, but in the end, it's way too hard when you don't have a global advantage. So it finds yourself in this awkward trade-out to where it's like, if my Illidan can beat my Dahaka strong enough, but without any forts available, you can't do that. You have to make the decision through mid.
The problem is, if Roll20 can hold out long enough in the mid, even if they don't get the Dragon Knight right away, they're going to have so much pressure on the bottom. They also held out picking up the shrine in the bottom because they had taken the top one with just a Haka and didn't want to alert that the team was spread out. Tempo gets 16, and they're moving toward mid.
They're doing exactly what they need to do. Illidan is yet to display himself up on bottom, but once that happens, expect the members of Roll20 to move in. Keep in mind, we have Void Prison. That can secure a Dragon Knight here. It's only 14 minutes in. Good drag. Flipped right on out there. Justin just checking the shrub, realizing maybe not the member that he is going to want. Illidan still defending. Galarung actually having time to pick up his own Knights even on top of this. So more pressure is being put out by Roll20 and creeping up onto the 20 talent tier. That is the biggest talking point here. Tempo has got to be the one forcing the hand before that happens.
Illidan's almost done dealing with the bottom lane mercenary camps of Roll20 in a much better place for him to hunt in if they found the right opening. But they are running out of time on that opening. The window is closing.
It very much is. Fury, you see him anytime he gets mount up, see if he can make a play there. The flip, the taunt going out. Li Ming hitting a lot of damage. Silence drop by Stukov. The arm getting the silence out, but at the end of the day, Fury is the one trapped here into that zombie wall. Justin throwing around the members of Tempo, and 20 still not here, but it is so very close. Even Goku, the global, willing to walk right on down, make sure he gets that bottom lane experience. And notice how Roll20 is never willing to risk Goku being anywhere other than a side lane. Then he'll join in when the fight happens. They got the 20, they're going to get the Dragonite, and I'm pretty confident at this point they got themselves a game.
Yeah, and he pushes back. Fury gets thrown in. Taunt, follow up to all the damage. He's going to start using the shield walls to run away, but the zombie wall stops his progress. In the back, Void Prison, and Tassidar's already down. Tassadar and Varian taken down.
Look at that drag from Justin. Guard going in, getting the slap on down. 4 members of Tempo dead. Psalm soon to join the rest of them. A 5-4-0 wipe, pure and clean Dragonite now, and Roll20 found themselves game number 2 on Dragonshire.
Game 1, Garrosh wins for Roll20. Game 2, he was let back through, and Garrosh wins for Roll20. Is this it?
Can't tell if I'm getting trolled at this point. Got to get XP, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta get the experience.
Got to get your experience. Establishing dominance.
Is important.
Roll20 here, flaunting it a little bit. Glowing not even auto-attacking the core. There, you know, I respect it. I would have
feeling good.
Maybe a B-step or 2 here, but at the end of the day, you know, I like what we see going on here.
What about dropping your Roll20 sprays?
I mean, that could be a better, you know, that could be a better way to do that. You know, not only do you get more cheers, and then you claim the core itself. I mean, it's a double win. At least they show confidence. You know, I wish we got more of that from some of our players at times. When they're just walking and be like, we're better than you.
just be like, we think we're, just say it. Like, that's totally fine. Like, if you do it too much, too consistently, you're getting your butt whooped. I mean, try and bring it back a little bit. But if you're one of the best here in NA, be willing to be like, guys, we're up 2-0. What do you got to say about that? Because it's about to be sending you right on home.
Dread, yesterday, Justing said that it was entirely possible for Roll20 to 3-0 Tempo Storm.
I didn't believe it. I straight up said immediately after, I was like, I'm going to remain skeptical until proven other way. I'm still skeptical. I'm ready. Ban the Garrosh, then I want to see what happens. Like, that is, at this point, I need to know.
You ban the Garrosh and you let the Medivh through. We'll have to see. We're going to a commercial break. When we come back, we'll see if Tempo Storm can bring it back.